What's goody? Hey man, we need to talk about the Warriors, bro. So I've talked about the Warriors and how the way that I think that they're handling the last couple of Steph Curry seasons is absolutely diabolical. Um, and I personally don't get it. Why your guy who brought you four championships, the guy who's your greatest, bro? Can you relax playing with this bone? Like go do some go somewhere else. But I don't get why your greatest player in franchise history, somebody that delivered you four rings, why you wouldn't want to go ahead and give that man the most utmost respect and everything like that, and why you wouldn't do everything in your power to give him that fifth ring or to build a team around him that is capable of getting that fifth ring, especially when he's still playing at a level that is high enough to lead that team to that fifth ring if they were given the right, if he was given the right pieces and everything like that. And I saw this report on Twitter yesterday, and it was Steve Kerr, and he said this, and it was a direct quote. He said, "I probably won't be around, but I would tell you if this organization gave away the next 6 or 7 drafts for a wild swing, that would be the most irresponsible thing I could do." And I remember like the day before or something like that, I ended up seeing something about I saw something about how Draymond Green basically said the same thing, and he said that him and Steph agree on it and everything like that. First of all, I don't believe that. I do not believe that Steph Curry agrees with that. I believe that Steph Curry is way too competitive of a person to agree with that, and I don't think that Steph Curry is putting enough pressure on this organization the way that a guy like Giannis started to before they get Dame and everything like that. I believe that the way that Kobe did when he requested a trade before they ended up winning those two championships for Pau Gasol and everything. Obviously, he didn't get traded, but he requested one, right? Stephen Curry is a good enough player to where he can put that type of pressure on an organization, and I don't believe that he's doing so. And that just might not be the type of person he is. He just might not want to. He also might be believing that the Warriors are doing everything in their power to get him that team. He might be believing that the team that he can win another championship without the team mortgaging its entire future for it. Maybe he believes that. Maybe I don't know what he believes. I haven't talked to the man or anything like that. But here's what I'll say: if the Warriors believe that it is smarter or more business, it's smarter for their business or whatever, it's smarter for the team or whatever, to trust to mortgage, to not mortgage the future in order just to, okay, let me get my words together. If the Warriors believe that it's better to allow Stephen Curry's career to end like Dirk Nowitzki's or to end like Kobe Bryant's, where those guys are getting older, obviously, and then their teams are so ass, so it's the guy that's the superstar, it's the guy that's bringing in the names, it's the guy that's selling the tickets, surrounded by a bunch of young guys that are ass, or young guys that have potential but aren't good enough yet to really do anything that Steph Curry can do, you know what I'm saying, that Steph Curry needs him to do. If they believe that's better than trading away Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Pajimski, like I'm not at least in Dirk's situation, they ended up getting Luka. They ended up getting a top 3 pick, and they ended up getting Luka Doncic, who looks like he's going to be a Hall of Famer someday, right? Do you understand how rare that is? With Kobe, that didn't happen. With all these other players, that didn't happen. With all these guys who were career one-team guys, that did not happen. So the odds of it happening for Steph Curry, for them to get a guy like a Luka Doncic, and even when Dirk got Luka, it was too late in his career, and Luka was too young. They got him. I think they only played 1 year together because Dirk retired after that year, and that was Luka's rookie year or something like that. Bro, it happened, but it didn't happen early enough. What I just don't understand what could make the Warriors ownership and what could make Mike Dunleavy the GM. What in their brain could be telling them that that's a better possibility, that's the better way to go than just going all in on Steph Curry, the guy that gave everything to this organization, the guy that took this team from being worth a few $100,000 to now the most valuable franchise in the NBA at like $9 billion or something like that. That guy did all of that for you. He is the greatest player in franchise history. To me, he's the greatest point guard in history. He's a top 5 greatest player of all time, in my opinion. And he's playing at still a ridiculously high level. Sure, he's not going to be playing at a ridiculously high level every single night, but he's playing at a pretty high level to the point where you shouldn't be losing to the Toronto fucking Raptors, whose goal is to literally lose. So I just don't understand what the Warriors are doing or what their philosophy is, and I don't understand how they believe that this is what's better for them. The 5th championship would have people talking about that would put a major chink in LeBron's GOAT case, because a guy in his era won more rings than he did. His greatest rival in his era would end up with more rings than he did. Do you understand what a 5th ring would do for not only the legacy of Stephen Curry, but the ripple effect that would have throughout the NBA and what that would do for the Warriors? If you're worth $9 billion now, do you think that $9 billion is still going to be there when Stephen Curry's gone? I don't. But if you can get up to as high as you can possibly get, and you get to the ceiling of the value of Stephen Curry by getting that 5th ring, that's going to make you immensely more valuable, at least in the right now. If I'm a Warriors fan, I'm pissed off at the organization, because it's like, bro, let's say DeMar DeRozan or Kawhi Leonard or whoever you want to say for the Raptors had won 4 rings in 8 years, and now a few years removed from his last ring, the guy is still playing at a super high level, but he's aging, and the team around him is not good enough, and these guys are saying, oh, we aren't going to trade young players. If that was my organization doing that, I'd be insanely pissed off at the organization for not doing everything possible. Most people, there are a ton of people who aren't even Warriors fans. They're just Steph Curry fans. And once Steph Curry leaves the Warriors, they won't be Warriors fans anymore. Once Steph Curry leaves the Warriors, you won't be seeing a whole bunch of Warriors jerseys that aren't Steph Curry jerseys. You think these niggas are going to be able to sell tickets the way Steph Curry can? Bro, Steph Curry, could you imagine? The Warriors have sold out games every single night now, and they're below 500. Could you imagine if this team was an actual championship contender and Stephen Curry was still the 1A? The amount of money you'd be able to make. So I don't even get it from the business standpoint. I understand the future is the future and everything like that. The man has done so much for you that he deserves for you to take a chance on him and take a chance on the tail end of his career. So I don't get what they're doing. I don't agree that Steph Curry believes it, and I just don't see why Steph Curry would agree with what would agree or believe in their plan. I don't even believe it necessarily with Draymond saying. I believe Draymond's too competitive a person to not care about going for a 5th ring. So to me, it's just like the Warriors are pissing me off because it's like this man has done everything for you, everything he could have ever done for you and more. And now it's time for you to return the favor, and you aren't going to do that? The Warriors aren't the Warriors without Stephen Curry. Hell, you can make an argument that the Warriors could have damn near been relocated if it's not for Stephen Curry. That's a team that people could have seen moving from San Francisco to Seattle because it's not like they had done anything crazy besides the We Believe Warriors, who were the 8 seed instead of the 1 seed. That was it. That was the only notable thing in franchise history besides Wilt being there back when they were the San Francisco Warriors or whatever. So I just don't get the point. I don't get what the Warriors' thought process is, and I do not understand organizations trying to believe that their future's worth all this when they have this still the 1A superstar, greatest player of all time still on their team, greatest franchise player of all time still on their team. Like, they're acting, I would get it maybe. I would definitely understand it if they have a Wemby, if they have like Dirk had Luka, if they have one of those guys, a guy whose future looks so, whose ceiling looks so crazy that it would be stupid for you to trade him. I would get that if they had one of those guys. Brandon Podziemski had a great rookie year. I never thought he was that. Jonathan Kuminga has had some solid moments in his NBA career. Never thought he was that. Moses Moody, never thought he was that. Trace Jackson Davis, like, come on. There has not been a Warriors pick ever that any of us ever thought would become one of those guys, like a Luka or like something like that, like a Wemby, one of those guys where they are a generational talent, they're a generational prospect, and their ceiling is at a generational level. The Warriors don't have one of those guys. You're telling me you'd rather have Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and a bunch of random first-round picks that are, for as long as Steph Curry is there, are at least going to be middle of the pack or worst? That's more valuable to you than a 5th championship for your greatest player in franchise history? That doesn't make sense. And in fact, it might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Look, the dog dropped his bone. He's about to start barking it. Like, I'm just going to. But anyways, man, let me know what y'all think about this Warriors thing. I completely disagree with what the Warriors are doing. And if I'm Steph Curry, I'd be putting a whole lot more pressure on this organization because I'd want out. Or I'd at least threaten to want out. Obviously, Steph Curry's one of those guys that I don't believe wants out. And I believe he's going to be like a one-team player. But I don't know, bro. I just don't know. All right.